Hello and welcome to Royale Without Cheese, our bi-weekly podcast in which we discuss both the classic and the unknown of art and popular cinema from the then and now. We are your hosts, me, Tomás Ferreira, Leonardo Miranda,
Hello.
and Miguel Aido.
Hi there.
Today we talk about the Golem, how he came into the world, but before any ado, don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, or simply give us a like. The Golem, How He Came Into the World is a 1920 German silent horror film based on Gustav Mehring's 1915 novel and set in 16th century Prague. It follows a rabbi as he uses dark magic to create the Golem, a giant creature made of clay, in order to protect his Jewish community from persecution. The third film that Wegener made featuring the Golem, in which the director himself plays the creature, it is also a prequel to the original The Golem from 1915. As the only one of the three films that has not been lost, it is the best known of the series. Now, scary shadows and sorcery aside, what did RWC actually think of this leading example of early German expressionism? Fellas, come on in.
I gotta say, I was really surprised by the film because with these really old films, you never really know if you connect with them and how they hold up. And I gotta say, it was a really beautiful story, and I think it really works still today. I really connected with the story, with the characters.
That's
So I
interesting.
gotta say, yeah, I was very entertained by it.
Mhm.
I don't know if you guys thought the same, but
I felt a little more distanced. Let me center. Yeah, I felt a little more distanced. But I liked it a lot. I think it has some
Yeah.
great, beautiful sequences, especially the final sequence with the golem. Not really final, but following Florian and killing him. Like there's some
Yeah,
amazing shots.
That's
with
such
that.
a Frankenstein moment.
Yeah, it's
I
very
think.
much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And that shot of
Yeah.
like them up on that building, and you just see the sky, and it's very isolated.
Yeah.
I thought those images were very striking, and even him just throwing. You see it's a doll falling, but it's very, it's like it's interesting to see that. So yeah, and there's other images like throughout the film, especially when you get into the realm of more. I get, like, for example, when they see the story like of the wandering Jew, and you see the way the image is superimposed as he's showing and telling them don't laugh, and then they start laughing. I think there's lots of moments like that are very striking.
Oh yeah, definitely. I also thought so.
yeah, I have a list. I have a
think-
list of those moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I have things that I really love about this film that I think are so well accomplished, and then things about it, the narrative specifically, that I didn't like so much. I thought it was plain out stupid. I was watching.
Stupid.
Well, that's stupid. Well, that's stupid. Well, that's crap. And I was watching the movie, like, doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. There was constantly this mirage of things. I was like, what?
Actually, I
What?
didn't even.
Internally, but I wasn't mad about it. It was just like,
Yeah, but what?
Which
what?
moments? Now I need to
which
know.
moment?
No, now I'm gonna
Okay,
delve
okay.
inside. This was
Okay,
just
let's go.
me playing around and being stupid. But yeah, there are specifics about it. But first and foremost, like what I loved about the film is very much to do with the artifice of it. That kind of brings me to, a Georges Méliès's kind of capacity of bringing out these magical moments of early cinema. And this is very evident in this film. There is an example of German expressionism. So you have in the production design these very weird looking interiors. For example, the whole, laboratory or tower where, this rabbi / sorcerer lives is very interesting because the interior looks almost like a brain, and then you have that spiral staircase that almost functions like an eardrum. It's very strange how corporeal it all feels, how so relatable to the insides of a human body it feels, which somehow really mirrors the character being, sorcerers are very much connected also to these strange men of medicine, although they are not men of science, but in the Middle Ages, both would cross, the doctor with the magician kind of thing, with the mask. And that's very interesting how the production design pulls off these amazing places. And of course, the night sky, that tower high up in the sky, once that character is revealed, our protagonist watching the stars, seeing the fate for his community and all that. The setup is amazing, of course, all that splendor of the production design. And also the lighting and the composition. This movie has amazing camera work and use of color in the various tints that he used to reproduce this kind of colder shades of the night with the greens and the blues, and of course then you have the warmer things dedicated to the light of day, with and romance, love with the reds and the yellows. But for example, I really love when they all gather at the temple and there's this beautiful high angle shot of everybody praying and they are kind of bowing down in this sort of wave, and it's very low-key kind of environment in its lighting, and you have all of them thumping their chests. You really feel the magic, you really feel a sense of myth that binds this community. Which, a little footnote, it's a film that means to be protective of the Jewish community in a tumultuous time for them in that side of Europe. But at the same time, I think it portrays them in a very not sympathetic, there's a stereotype there that I'm like, I don't know if this is helping them or hurting them, because it's like, I know they are at the center of the movie has protected.
What do you mean?
I'm going there.
And get there.
I'm just warming up.
You can't keep teasing it out.
I can keep it. Okay, I'll go there. First and foremost, this thing is like when Paintum has sorcerers or magicians, when everybody in the land in this ghetto has like little witch hats, I'm like, come on. So it's not just the rabbi, everybody's like doing deals with the devil and plays in dark magic. Do really Jewish people do this? I think, does this help them? Because then they create this monster, which in actuality ends up destroying them. And
But I mean,
I don't know. It just seems to feed this idea that, for example, in Germany, within the propaganda against the Jewish people, they had this idea, in the billboards and such, of Jewish people eating babies and surviving out of the blood of the innocents and of the babies. That was a thing, and that is a witchcrafty thing. It's a horror image, and then there you have them being, all of them wearing witch hats. I'm like, that's not really Middle Ages. I mean, it just sounds a bit off. Like, I don't know if it's just weird to me. And then regarding the narrative itself, just to tie the bow there with what I said in the beginning, there are a lot of things that to me kind of don't make sense. The two main things are, first and foremost, they create, and the synopsis is very misleading in this sense, because the synopsis says
Did not
creates
read
the
it.
big giant. Sorry.
did not read the synopsis.
Went straight to the
Okay,
film, like a real cinephile.
I mean, you mean like a long one, like a very sort of
No,
event
no,
by
no,
story
the-
event?
A simple
the one on
synopsis that
play.
you'll find on IMDb, the one that
Ah,
clearly
okay.
states, what I said just now in the beginning, in 16th century Prague, this rabbi creates this clay monster in order to protect them from persecution in whatever. Okay, and the emperor.
But that does happen, no?
Isn't that what
Wait
happens
a minute.
exactly?
Wait a moment. He creates that monster, fearing the emperor, the big disaster that's going to come. But, and this feeds in you this idea that, he's going to create this monster to attack the emperor, right? Or go against the emperor, right? To defend them against these evil forces, the evil armies of the emperor. He then decides, you know what? I'm going to, I want to have a hearing with your emperor. Okay, fine. So he's going to bring the monster to the hearing, right? He's going to have a little tussle in the hearing, right? He goes to the castle. What does he do? Here's my monster. Oh, such an amazing gift you brought us. Show us more of your magic. And I'm like, okay, so that was nothing. Where's the tussle? Where's the
That was
defending?
in your
There was
mind.
no tussle.
You
Yeah,
created
there was no-
But that was I was
that
hoping.
story.
He's going to defend from them. He's not one
No,
moment.
but you
This Golem
yeah,
defends
that's
them.
That's fair. But you said that the storyline is like misleading. I mean,
Is
not
misleading.
really. It didn't say any of that you created in your mind.
But
Whoa.
it does create
Protecting
defend
from
the
persecution. What does the Golem effectively do to protect from
people.
persecution?
It doesn't matter if it doesn't, because the goal was for him to help them. He might not
What?
end up.
Shores? Going to the
When-
groceries?
No, but when he first does it, it's to help them to help them protect themselves from this prediction that he has of some impending doom. And so the goal, at least at the start, was to protect them.
No, I do understand that, but you do understand as well that it really is like, I do understand that's the initial intention, but it's like you create in the viewer this expectation that then it's not fulfilled. And when it's not fulfilled, it's really anticlimactic. The very ending is kind of anticlimactic for me. So when we have that hearing with the Emperor, and he's just kind of a gift, an example of his amazing dark arts, which were the very reason why he created that little bill paper that said exterminate them all. Oh, so now you like the dark arts when you in the beginning you didn't like the dark arts. Yeah, and then suddenly, I mean, what happens at the hearing at the festival? Oh, you have the insult at the wandering Jew, which is a beautiful moment, by the way. It's kind of a cinema within cinema. Mirage in the 16th century. You know, he creates this panel in these striking, spiky shadows around the image to the past, which I found was very interesting and very wondrous. Then they laugh at this, you know, figure of their culture, which creates this kind of cataclysm. You know, the walls start crumbling down, and then he intervenes and stops it all. But it's like, okay, so all right, then you come back to town, and you have this whole subplot that is fed about Florian being up and up with his daughter, and I'm like, I don't get this subplot. I'm not connected with this subplot going. I'm so fucking done with this subplot.
What's the problem with that?
What's the problem? I'm like uninvested. I don't understand. They just are
I
like.
didn't care for it.
By the
either.
way, when they fall in
I
love,
liked
he's one of the-
Florian though. I thought he was funny, so I kind of it was alright. It's like
Okay.
a dumb guy.
I thought it was
who just
annoying. So
wants
when
to
he
have
died, I
sex.
was like, oh, amazing. He's
yeah,
dead
yeah,
now.
no. I wasn't
Yeah.
saddened by his death.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the
But,
whole subplot was only for him to die at the end.
Yeah.
No, but the
It's
thing
like
it's not
the
like
subplot
that.
is
But
creating
that
a
doesn't
victim
justify
that you
it.
don't. That is like,
Yeah.
oh right, yeah, you can die.
That
Yeah, it's not particularly well
the
made.
thing
but
is
yeah.
that doesn't justify it for me, and I think there's something I want to establish here, which is just because it's a silent film doesn't need to be a simple film, much like an animation film is seen like a simple film, or so we don't need to see much more into it. The fact of the matter is that subplot, for me, it's two things. Okay, if you're gonna have him die at the end, then make me care about this love triangle that we supposedly have here. The assistant, Flamus or whatever his name called, he acts upon jealousy, invoking the Golem again to go after him. The only hint that we have of him kind of feeling some strain of love for his master's daughter is at the beginning when he's kind of on the floor looking at her, but that's not sufficient. We should have more scenes of him kind of trying to woo her or feeling distant while Florian is getting all the love from this, you know, this girl, and that would suffice. That would add something to that subplot. I would care a little bit more. There's some tension there. I don't need much, but something, you know. I only see them kind of hand on my chest, hand on yours. Like, what is it? You know, every time I come back to that subplot, it's just them in a shabby little room touching each other, and okay, can we get back to the other stuff with the Golem? I don't know. If I had, you know, more of a dramatic tension being fed to that strand of the story, like for example, the assistant having that flare of love for her, which then justifies his actions at the end, then that would be, I would care more. I'll be like, there's a thing going on. And then also, what is the very action at the end of killing Florian? It makes the monster they created something that they can't control anymore. That makes their very actions of protections for themselves, something that should be benevolent, becoming something horrid. But then they don't really deal with it. Or, for example, that action could spring out ramifications where the Emperor would look back at him and say, they are evil after all. And so that would create things complicated. Are they evil? Are they not evil? You know, in using this magic, you're not using this magic.
I was gonna come back to your point with
Yeah.
the mysticism, because I mean it's kind of an allegory for being misunderstood. I mean, witches and wizards, it's all a way of saying that they're oppressed and that they are misunderstood, and so they're seen as these, at least that's how I interpret it. They're seen as these mystical beings because they have all this power and influence, and this is how you portray them metaphorically, I suppose. So to me, it's just a matter of course, through magic to portray them as being the oppressed. And even if you don't like them, you recognize their power, and I think that's why the Emperor invited them to that session, where he says that, yeah, because of your services, I'm still gonna have you come here for the earring. So, you know, for me, it's not about if it makes them look better or worse because they have this magic. It's just that it's an allegory for what they represent, and yeah, it's part of the whole story. I mean, the whole thing, it's supernatural. I mean, you're just ignoring the fact that the golem is a creature, comes from a spell. I mean, you can't talk about that and not about the other things. It's all supernatural. I mean, so yeah,
I mean, I'm not well versed enough in like Jewish folklore to know if this is like a good interpretation or representation even of their customs and their narratives. But yeah, but I didn't feel particularly that this was a bad representation or not. At least I wasn't thinking in those terms. I think what Marsh said, I see some of it, and I get that it's worth questioning because the film is like leaning into stereotypes of the so-called the Jewish powers, like the mysticism and all that. Is it leaning into it to portray it in the way that Miguel is saying, or the way that Tomás kind of interpreted it more? I don't know. I'm not sure.
I think it's incoherent from the moment someone says, "I'm gonna ban you for dark magic." Oh ho ho, dark magic, great. I mean,
Okay,
that
no,
whole
but that's
idea
that's
of
the
the
whole
allegory
different.
kind of
That's
falls flat to
narrative
me.
like bullshit. That doesn't
I
like that's
guess
the
fine,
narrative being bad. I'm talking about the
but I
more.
don't think it's something that destroys their image like horribly. It just ended the Jewish people. It's over for you.
No, because like what you
I don't know.
mentioned of the emperor is more of like the anti-Semite being like stupid, like he doesn't even know. But it's also badly written. It's like not particularly coherent. It's just he's banning them for a thing, and then when he sees the thing, he's like, "Oh, that's cool." You're like, what?
Exactly.
But yeah, but I get it. But I don't think it's the emperor is not the key to understanding the Jewish representation of the film.
does he not forgive them after the golem saves them, or is it before?
He's already like in the process
Yeah.
of
Because I think that
because
has
he
something
asks.
to do with it. I mean, the fact that that figure, that sort of a
But
brute, comes
that
in
doesn't
and
still answer the question of the incoherence that represents. Okay, he saves, he pardons them because the golem saves them. You're correct, but it's still because, oh, I don't like black magic, so go away. No, I like it. That's fine.
no, but I mean, in theory, it's this sort of escalation where they didn't have this brute before that could represent this level of danger. At least the way I see it was they saw the golem and saw and thought, okay, yeah, maybe let's not mess with these people because this is sort of a new threat, a new level of arts that we haven't seen before. I mean, that's how I interpret it. I don't know.
And then you have the subplot of the whole daughter thing with Florian that I've explained. The two ends that don't work out to me. You know, this
I mean,
season could
something
be.
that, like, for me at least, that was when I put this film on, I was like, okay, this is a film 1 hour and 16 minutes. I was conscious of the fact that this is not the whole film as it's supposed or as it was supposed to be. As
What do you think
like
part of it is lost?
no, because there's other version. Miguel even mentioned it that there's another version that's like 1 hour and 41 minutes, I think,
Right.
which is more
Yeah, true.
complete,
That's
I
true.
assume. And so when I was watching the film, I had that in mind a little bit, which sort of
Okay.
I get probably made me more like
Forgiving.
less attentive to the plot itself because I knew that this is probably not the most complete representation of what the plot is. So I was just more interested in looking at the images and like the effects and all that. Like all the incoherences you mentioned are perfectly valid. Yeah, I see them, and I'm not sure if they would be fixed by the longer version or not. I don't know.
I felt the same as you, but it was for a different reason. It was just that for me, it was sort of entering the mindset of these sorts of films, yeah, very early films, and understanding that I don't know, they suffered sometimes from these sort of flaws in how they arrange the story. I mean, things sometimes are very easy and convenient and immediate, like the relationship between Florian and the girl. I mean, it's just like almost how do you say, first love at
Ludicrous.
first sight. No,
Yeah, it's
the
that.
expression love at first sight. So literally as they first see each other
Yeah,
and
ludicrous.
and how they exchange gazes. No, yeah, again, I was just going along with it because you have this side of it to this film sometimes where it's very theatrical and the expressions are so extravagant and the gestures and everything. almost making up for the fact that plot-wise it's not really being explained. So I think that's kind of a theater
I mean,
influence. No, but
I do
it's
understand
true
what you mean.
when you have this overemphasis on these things, it kind of makes it seem like you can skip over the plot part of
More or less,
explaining
there are
these
films
relationships.
that don't quite that have. There are plenty of silent films that have that theatricality, but then they are very interesting in terms of how they are written and how they are made, and I don't feel that they miss a beat there. For example, the Phantom Carriage from Victor Strandheim. Is it Strandheim? No, I'm wrong. Jostrom, I think.
Star, yes. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's Storm story.
That's a very good one. I don't have anything to complain there in terms of the story though, from when I watched it. And it's one silent film where I felt that the actors are not even being theatrical. It's amazing, like silent film acting, very realistic. So, you know, for example, and to put this in specific examples, like going back to subplot of the daughter of the rabbi, just adding a scene where you have the assistant gawking over her and she is decent with Florian, that will be a little something added. And that's not a brainiac decision. That's not only Audible films from the 1930s, 40s will be able to do this one day.
Again, I think you're right on these on some of these levels. That yeah, those things are missing from that, you know, secondary plots.
And just
Specifically,
to
I think.
pinpoint that if they had that, I could all the while accept the love at first sight thing that you mentioned, that it's theatrical and immediate and doesn't.
But again,
you know,
to me, it's just to feed the ending and to provide a character that dies and becomes a victim of the golem.
exactly.
It becomes obvious at a certain point that that's.
But there's no consequence to that. That's what I feel. There's no tension input on that storyline, and then when it happens, the ending of the death character, which I understand. Like for you, it was sufficient enough that there was that death. To me, it's like, okay, what does that mean in terms of the stakes, in terms of me feeling anything about this death? He then quickly is dispatched to outside of the city and dies, the golem, you know.
But I mean, I get it, but at the same time, I don't think you're supposed to care for Florian. I mean, you're supposed to care
I don't know.
about.
No, you don't understand. I don't care for Florian one jolts. I don't care for him. I care for what does this mean. I never cared for Florian. That was never the bit. What I'm care for is what does this mean for the image of the Jewish people. You know, they're always this kind of about protecting their image, protecting themselves from the emperor, coming up, you know, above this all. And then the golem just created this scenario where, oh, they are the ones to blame. They just killed someone who's a soldier of the empire, and there's nothing after that. It's like a vacuum. Oh, the golem goes outside, he falls down, end of the movie. Let's go back in. So, I don't know. You know, and you find then these reviews that say, oh, they have created a monster that then makes them think about themselves, what they have created, something that initially came from a good intention, but then, oh, really? Where is that moral conundrum in the story? When does that ever develop? You know, there is space for that. There's promise for that, but that does never. Again, like Lenny said, there's another version of the film here that I'm not seeing. Perhaps like 1 hour and 40 minutes.
I don't think that's everything. The fact that there's another version. I mean, I agree that the film isn't perfect and that all the ideas are not fully realized, but I also don't think it's as incomplete as you're portraying it. I mean, I didn't have the experience of so many things lacking in the film. Florian is sort of a pawn in the whole scheme of what Golem is going through, and if you ask me, why the the moral reason why it changes sides, shall we say? I don't know why it changes sides, but it happens, and that's why he kills Florian.
You mean the assistant or the golem?
I mean, changes sides between helping them and then not helping them. So I was talking about the servant, not Florian.
Oh, servant, the assistant. Okay, the servant. Right.
Yes, the human assistant.
Nonetheless, despite the storytelling imperfections, each of us feeling that imperfections are either 50%, 70% well or not, I think it's a beautiful film. I have a ball watching it from beginning to end.
Yeah.
You know, so I can't complain
That's
there.
my experience.
I mean, and the sort of the imagery of him pulling the girl with her hair. I mean,
From the hair, yeah, exactly.
That was awful. That was awful. I was looking at it, I was like, God,
this is brutal
Jesus.
for a 1920s.
Brutal. Yeah,
But
true.
even like
You know
just
what else is very interesting?
the first scene with Astaroth, the way they to find out the
Oh
word, the way
yeah,
it's
yeah.
framed, and the smoke coming out of his
Yeah,
It's great.
that was
his
It's
nice.
great.
mouth, and the way the word is spelled by the smoke. It's
Oh
like
yeah,
wow.
that's really cool. Cool. It's felt so, one of my recurrent terms, Lovecraftian. The fact that you have these, the old gods or demons that are above you and that have created these smaller demons. You find that a lot in Lovecraftian kind of books and stories that are bigger than mankind. And their decisions are above you and you can't do anything that will crush you or make you. It's independent of you. And it's very interesting to see like the realization of that demon that it's not even a person. It's like a ceramic mask or
Yeah.
something that just floats in the scene. It's amazing. And then they go into this detailed insert shot of the smoke coming out. I thought this is amazing. And I can't believe they made that ring of fire with the thunder coming inside the house. I don't know how they did that, but that was pretty cool. I thought it was pretty well constructed. The magic stuff is amazing in this film, I have to say, and every scene where you have the rabbi in a little shabby corner of his room, either on top of the terrace or on the basement with the inscriptions on the wall, or the very graphics that they make with the old book, showcasing like the cultural heritage or supposed cultural heritage of the Jewish community around magic. That's amazing. And it's pretty cool because in filmmaking, you do have people in art departments just focus on making graphics for letters, books, magazines that actors use on film, which is amazing if you think so. That's particularly specific in period pieces because they have to create all those letters with specific kind of wording. And if the person was famous, like Queen Victoria or something, they have to reproduce her exact writing. So it's cool to think about these things. To think about the detail that goes into creating all those props and all those kind of costume design and etc. that is used in the film. It's very interesting.
I have a way of connecting this with your essay, Tomás, on STC
What essay did I do?
about
What essay?
sculptural films.
Sculptural.
All right.
Because if you think about it, I mean, I thought it was a very sculptural film because of the way. I'm not sure how you
Yes,
went
there's
in
the
with that essay and exactly explained sculpture in films, but at least in a sort of rudimentary way, you do see this here with the sets and even his hair of the golem. I mean, it looks like it's literally a sculpture come to life. So I think that was interesting to see a film exploring a bit of this art somehow. With the hair is very obvious because it's a very particular image. And the whole aspect of him is very, very well achieved, I think. And he acts very well, the actor who plays him. The director.
Yeah, it's the director himself, which is interesting. A lot of the directors play monsters or get to have predominant roles in their own films. For example, in Haksan, you have which is a story of witches. The film is from this kind of, I think he's a Danish director. He plays the devil in that film, which is interesting. And the horns are just his hair kind of in a curl way coming down. It's kind of a goat sort of evocation in terms of the image. Is quite interesting. But yeah, he's very cool. And if you look at the hair, it's basically a stylization of the hair that everybody has in that community. It's kind of this.
The bob.
Every other character has that style.
Yeah, I was here thinking about the twist with the golem changing sides. If we interpret all of this as he also being sort of a Jewish figure and a Jewish protector, which he is. I mean, it kind of represents this whole thing with them being oppressed and eventually fighting back. I mean, effectively, he's a servant, and then he fights back.
I don't think narratively it does that very well. I mean, it could go in that route. It seems like it's just a general.
Yeah, I don't
know
I
if
think
he
it's
went
reading
after
too much
the
into it.
emperor specifically, if there was something more narratively into
Yeah,
outlining first a clear oppression that isn't so like general. Something evil is gonna happen. There was something more concrete, and then the golem like took matters into his own hands, I guess, and to fight back with violence that you'd feel is a justified violence. I think that would be better. But the film, it feels like he just kind of now I'm evil. I'm gonna pull the girl by the ear and then kill Florian.
Right.
It's like
Yeah,
don't
I think the part that could have been a little clearer is in regards to the fact that supposedly there's this doom coming, and he predicts that. And I think that's different from them already being oppressed. So that could have been better, explained, because effectively it's different. To talk to the emperor and say we're gonna have this doom, and them already being oppressed, and so it would have changed the reason why they come into the hearing and what they have to offer, and the whole discussion that they have, I think.
I mean, they're already in a
It's,
ghetto, so like at least the film already like
Mm-hmm.
acknowledges like
but then they speak about a further persecution and
yeah,
something
exactly.
else.
And even then, like I feel like on the matter of what Tomás was saying, that it's like you don't really feel like they, as Jewish people in the film, like that there's a clear community feeling of oppression against living in that ghetto and wanting to like break out and to not be segregated in that manner. It feels like they kind of accept it, and even the ending with them picking up the golem and going back inside it and closing the door is like, I don't know. It can be interpreted as a conformist, I guess. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't thought about this through watching the film, but yeah, when as following on what Tomás was saying regarding the portrayal, yeah, I guess it's just kind of incoherent. It's not very feels like not very thoughtful of
The
what it was
persecution
portraying.
bit is like this bit in the whole film, like.
It feels more like the film liked, and I think this was the what the director did was like he heard these stories of Jewish folklore
Mm-hmm.
when he was filming a film 1913, and he liked those stories, so then he adapted into like
Yeah,
this little fantasy story of the golem without
tales.
really paying much attention to what he was doing in terms of the portrayal.
And I also think that his approach is valid as well. I mean, if he wants to make a film that kind of
Mhm.
portrays themselves as being magicians and wizards, maybe
I
that's
don't think
fine
it's like the
too.
most. I mean,
Is it
like,
Jewish, the director?
I mean, probably not. I don't think so.
Well, just because of the sentence construction, this would, what you said now, it would imply that if they want to represent themselves, so the director, my people, he chose that his people are represented this way. Now he has someone separate from the people decided that. That's even worse, if that's the case. I don't know, but if he's not Jewish, it's like, oh, they're all witches. Just make them all witches, making pointy hats and stuff. So they're all in the dark
No,
arts.
but like I don't think it inherently like portraying a group. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong here, but like inherent portraying them all as magicians or whatever is like evil. I mean, I think being a magician would be cool, and I think the way the film
Yes, hell yeah.
portrays it is not
Yeah,
necessarily like
no, it's
there's
true.
an
Yeah.
inherent bad thing about. It's like it's just it's as Miguel was saying, is something that sets
But
them
these
aside
guys are
from the
talking
rest of the
with
world.
demons freely. Like they dial the Azeroth. Like, okay, Azeroth, can you embody this fella?
They're not speaking with demons. They
On
have the
speed
power
dial.
to.
I know, I'm joking, but it's like they make that ring of fire. It's a demon nonetheless. It's a demon, and then they put a demon inside a clay monster. Okay, and they
But he
use it,
doesn't
and the clay monster kills
exactly.
a person.
He doesn't exactly enjoy it. I mean, he doesn't befriend these guys, these demons. He just
What?
has the
Sorry.
power. He has the power to summon them, but he doesn't exactly befriend them.
Wait.
What is
So
this
needs to protect them.
approximation?
You are telling me that you would be okay with talking with a demon?
I would if
they're
like
not
if there was a
talking with-
great evil coming, then I need to protect my community. I would talk to the devil
this
to
becomes
protect
Yeah,
them.
interesting.
exactly. It's that sort of burden of being able to do it if you need to.
So
Exactly.
you're all Ghost Riders. Huh? You are all Nicolas Cage Ghost Riders. You
course,
just
of
connect
course.
up with evil, even if that meant, I'm going to destroy the fucking world, but that doesn't matter because it's for a good cause. Okay,
Haven't you
be
seen
with yourselves.
Supernatural? Haven't you seen the show Supernatural? They're
No.
demon hunters, and they summon these demons because they're fighting them. It's the whole
it's good enough.
demon hunter shtick. Just a word for the music that accompanies this film. Very, very nice.
Oh yeah, actually, you remind me. This is probably one of the rarest examples of great music done for silent movie, because it just really hits the sweet spot on transitioning from the emotionality of scene to scene very well and adapting to the different characters very well. Very good.
It also has a lot of Mickey Mousing moments and
Yeah.
and just overall the theme of the golem, it's very well composed. I think it's very memorable as you're
sometimes-
hearing every time it returns. It's very pleasurable.
Yeah. Sometimes it's so often that you find some movies where like,
Yeah, it's true.
like the music is really not hitting it for me. Or it's like, Jesus, I wish I could find another version.
Just to wrap it up, this is another example of that sort of brute character trope of literature and cinema. Yeah, where you have the big guy that doesn't speak, the sort of brute that takes care
Frankenstein,
of
maybe.
of problems.
Frankenstein.
You
Bond
also
henchman.
yes,
Bond
Bond
henchman.
henchman.
Jaws, Bond. Odd job.
Including
It's gonna start
the
being
shark.
Bond henchman.
Yeah, you meant the shark.
Huh? The shark?
You can't be talking about the shark, right?
No. Jaws, the henchman of Bond,
Ah.
Roger Moore.
A Bond henchman called Jaws? I don't remember
Yes,
that.
it was a marketing stunt because Jaws came out that same year.
That's
Ah,
right.
so
that's right.
That's
In The Spy
bullshit.
Who Loved Me, they decided to make that movie about a underwater villain who creates this Atlantis underwater, or wants to, and kill everybody at above surface. And one of his henchmen is called Jaws, and he has metal teeth. It's because of the movie Jaws, The same way the movie afterwards, Moonraker, is like a spin-off, not spin-off, but they're trying
It's
to
called
grab hold
Jaws
of.
2, the henchman.
Just,
Exactly. It's they're trying to grab hold of Star Wars so they make Bond in space, and then you can intercut me in several of these starting to discuss James Bond. And just gonna be and then throughout history, and then in 1988, and then it's
Yeah,
gonna, oh my
definitely.
God, it's never stopping.
in
And
broccoli.
then finally Daniel Craig died in 2021. Anyway, that's the end of it. Yeah, I just rewatched No Time to Die with a friend of mine who decided to watch the 4 Bond films, with me.
Time to
It
wrap
was
it
his
up,
idea, not mine.
guys.
I didn't.
Hope you like this episode.
Exactly. Ending. Sorry. Bye bye. We need to cut this out.
A guy with a cane comes out.
Exactly. I don't know. What is happening with us? We're synchronized. Like
Yeah,
I
we're
say,
very synced
forget
up
about it. We say
today.
forget about it. We go with
Forget
the cane.
about
We go with the cane. It's all connected.
When minds connect.
Exactly.
Time to bring the pig from Looney Tunes that comes to say goodbye, and then
Oh yeah.
the Hall of Fudge go down, and he's standing there.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
all.
because
folks.
because at the film the sort of lights go out and he's speaking to himself. Yeah, that's it.
Oh yeah. True. I see.
That's
what
a
you
bit. That's a bit. Don't gaslight me on this.
mean. No. I know.
That
Are you
didn't happen.
implying that I gaslight you, Mike?
No.
Okay, I'm
all
gonna
the
book.
time.
I'm gonna note that down.
Are you implying I never gaslighted you? I never did that. What the fuck?
I never do that with anyone.
You're crazy. You're literally insane.
You're literally insane.
Literally insane.
That's all for today, folks. If you'd like to reach out and suggest a film for the next episode, you can find us on the podcast official Instagram and website pages. Feel free to subscribe, share this episode, or simply give us a like. That's how our podcast can grow ever more groovy. And if you are on YouTube and want to see more videos like this, check out this next video right here. Thanks for listening and see you next time.
Bye.
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 Bye.